I am pregnant in a motel room on Glenwood Road at the Economy Inn, and I am in pain. The baby is inside of me, been inside of me for 3 years, and it's scratching me. And I'm working on this evidence instead of being able to hold my baby. I shot a white male in self-defense, my child father, and I'm pregnant by him, and they tortured the baby in me and took my son, and I was protecting my son as well. I do not know who this woman is showing herself with a picture of my son on her page. She's saying it's a woman. I have not seen my son, and I've been fighting for him. So I said, bitch, y'all going to give me my son, and the only reason why you are on my channel is because you know the truth is coming out. I don't know who the F you are, but y'all going to give me my son, and my baby not going to die in me. I want everybody all over the world to see, and I want y'all to look at my baby when I get help that they tried to kill for the white man, and I want y'all to bring vengeance on these folks. So while I'm laying in this motel room, 3 years pregnant with this baby, tortured, this is what the blacks are allowing this white male to say to me. And some woman saying, get over them poisoning me for 11 months pregnant in a jail cell, threatening to rape my son, and then say that he's calling another woman mommy, and I don't even know if he's really alive. And laughing and saying, oh, I've been pregnant for 3 years, knowing that they've been torturing the baby in me for 3 years because I shot Austin, and he's a convicted felon that tried to murder me and my child in our home. And I'm pregnant by him with a baby that they all tried to murder to make me look guilty and try to do a blood sacrifice on me in a jail cell. And here's my story. So before we get into the juicy stuff, let me just give y'all a little bit of an overview. Let me first of all tell y'all what's going on. Austin got out of prison July 10th, 2018. He came inside my home attacking me and my son. My son was 22 months old, and my son was 20 months old, and my son was 22 months old when I shot Austin. I shot him September 18, 2018. They took me into the Montgomery County Jail pregnant and bleeding. They knew the evidence that I was protecting myself and my son and that I was pregnant. They tortured me and the baby that I'm still carrying. They tortured us for 11 months in the Montgomery County Jail in Conroe, Texas. They were trying to cover up the evidence that I was pregnant. They were trying to cover up the evidence that he was abusing me. They threatened to harm my son that I am worried about, and they threatened to murder me and the baby. They tried to murder me and the baby in a jail cell before my trial, and my entire family was lying about the evidence and my pregnancy while I was in the jail with them lying, trying to murder me, and I am pregnant. And I was contacting my family, and everybody in the county was doing witchcraft on me and saying it was because he was white and that they were going to lie about the evidence and my case and tortured me past my labor date with the baby still alive. And they stole my son from me. Please excuse the typos, but this was my reply to whatever woman was trying to say I was crazy and had her man name in her mouth. So I meant to say they stole my son from me and gave Austin, that's my child father name, Austin John Mader, a convicted felon. Austin and his mama, Cynthia, my little baby, he was 22 months old at the scene, at the shooting. They told me while I was in the jail, they took my son from me while I was in the jail, and he was 2. When he was 2, I got released August 22nd, 2019. All the charges were dropped, and the baby was still alive in my body. So I also had a baby that was still alive in my body, and I'm still carrying this baby. And they were refusing to give us medical care. And they had my family setting me up trying to be involved with the murder in Texas by not coming forward with the evidence that I was in there pregnant, knowing that they were trying to murder their pregnant sibling for protecting myself. So they let me out of the jail August 22nd, 2019 on all charges with the baby still alive in me. And they had me go with gang members that were pulling guns on me before the custody hearing for my son. So they had sued me for my son, and I won against them in jail. And then they said because I was still incarcerated that I had to come to another court date for a custody trial, but the charges on me were dropped. So the custody trial was in December 2019, and they had people pulling guns on me in the apartment, and they kept denying me medical care and bringing me with gang members to locations and starving me in Houston and Little Rock. And I started making a YouTube channel. I started my YouTube channel in Houston when they were denying me medical care and making me go with gang members. They made my family put me out the house pregnant with this baby, and they were all trying to kill it out in Texas. And I left. I was on the bus stop and I started my YouTube channel in Texas, and they forced me out of Texas, trying to murder me, all the black people, everybody in Texas, and forced me out of Texas pregnant. And I went to my aunt's house and she tried to set me up to be murdered out of her home. And I was still putting everything on YouTube, and I fled here to Atlanta, Georgia on Greyhound. My little baby in me wants y'all to know that it's still alive and that I'm pregnant. It's like, Mama, don't forget about me while I'm recording this. The baby keep moving like I'm still alive, and the baby is still alive from the jail. So I went to Arkansas pregnant with the baby from the jail, and they tried to set me up to be murdered. And then I fled here to Atlanta, still pregnant with the baby from the jail, and still posting everything on YouTube. And they tried to set me up to be murdered. So I said, and trying to keep me from getting my son back. Jesus Christ was protecting me and healed my wound. They tried to murder me and also stripped me from my son, threatening to kill him, and tried to kill me out of my aunt's house, and tried to murder me around the Greyhound, and starved me all in Atlanta, Georgia, and trafficked me and tried to murder me by gang members and police. They continued to deny us medical care, forced us out of a shelter, and forced me into an apartment with a man. They were setting me up in an apartment with a man named Marcus Mitchell. And I was just kind of letting the woman know, like, here, like, I don't even know who you are, getting on my channel trying to say I'm lying. But because they have done all this to me, they are taunting me in the comments, and this video is going to just simply expose the evidence. And I hope after this that there are people on this earth that will bring vengeance, and I pray that God destroy them. So I went on to say, thought they could kill my baby in me to help him win a case. Excuse the typo, because I talk through my microphone like I'm doing this voiceover, and it does not always catch the words correctly. And keep him from going to prison because I'm pressing charges, and he is going to jail for abusing me. I said, and the baby in me, and I said, it don't matter if y'all trying to starve the baby in me to death to try to keep him from going to jail. He is going. And my baby is not going to die. That's what God said. And they left me on the streets and tried to set me up to be murdered in Buckhead, Atlanta, and in Clarkston and Stone Mountain, Georgia, in the streets, pregnant, trying to have me smoking and abused, pregnant with a baby that is not going to die. And I'm putting out the information. I said, now they got these people attacking me on my channel. while this man is starving me in a motel room on Glenwood Road. But let me just go ahead and say something. The white man, I said, let me just go ahead and say something. Something about the white man. They doing all this for the white man and trying to kill my baby and me. I said, but he ain't no match for my God, Jesus Christ and Jehovah. I said, go to Revelations and see what color God is, and then come back and ask me who's going to win the battle. They put me out of the shelter. They put me out of the shelter here when I was putting out the evidence that Austin, because when I was speaking through the microphone and they thought I said often, but Austin was abusing me and my son, and that I'm pregnant by him. I'm going to put out the evidence, and I'm coming out there to see if my son is alive, and he better be alive because Cynthia is a child molester. You need to just get the F off my page, because when I find out who you are, it's going to be a problem. I said, because, I'm pregnant, and something about his baby mama. Oh, you knew he was abusing his baby mama, and I'm still pregnant, and my family is involved, and they were going to let these white folks chase me around the country with a baby in me for 3 years. How dare you? And it's still alive, and my trifling family still going to sit over here and let y'all talk about me like this. And I'm pregnant with this child while they trying to set me up to be murdered. But that's all right, because I got some brothers and sisters, baby. I got brothers and sisters who are real. Y'all got away with telling lies about my life, my case, my baby daddy, and my baby and me. But now it's time for me to tell the Andrea Jones story, featuring the baby. So while I was working on the evidence to my case and getting ready to present it in front of the entire world, they had a black male starving me in a motel room. I'm in a motel room on Glenwood Road. So I want to let y'all know how desperate these black men were to starve me for this white man that I'm pregnant by. So I called you 5 times in a row. You can't pick up the phone, and I'm over here working on some evidence about my kids, and I'm over here hungry and pregnant, and you supposed to be helping us. I don't know what to do if you really claim to be trying to help us. I'm not trying to be arguing with you while I'm putting out evidence about my child, because I'm not about to be picking a fight. I don't want you picking a fight with me. Where are you? We only have 50 cents over here to eat, and I am pregnant regardless of me having smoked or whatever. I've been abused, but I still need to eat. And you said you was going to take me to get my nails done and wash clothes. It's hours later. Damn, so you going to leave me and my baby locked in a motel room with no food? We don't have money. The keys to the room stopped working. The woman said she wasn't going to give me another key. This was text message from the other day when he tried to starve me. So this was a continuous thing. And I'm all over YouTube putting out the information about me and my baby being denied medical care and being starved in America. Yeah, I've been smoking because of the stress. You asked me how did I end up on the streets and how I end up in the position I was in. 4:30 since yesterday, 1 p.m. We have not eaten. I'm not trying to argue with you or forwarding my calls. We're hungry. That's okay. I'll figure something out. So these were the text messages between him and I. I said me and my baby went 24 hours without food. It just don't make no sense to put me and the baby out on the streets. This was from the other day when he was starving us. Please bear with me. The audio is going to be running just a little bit behind, but just look at the titles. You can go and look at the videos of these people that I'm mentioning who did this to me on all of my channels. you can go to the Queen Andrea Antoinette Jones channel. So I'm going to tell you, you can type all of this in on YouTube. Type in Queen Andrea Antoinette Jones. Type in the Lion of Judah child abduction. Type in Leaving Egypt, the Andrea Jones case. Type in God Defeats as one word, and type in Freemasons. So type in God Defeat Freemasons. Type in the Silk Ministry. Type in Andrea Jones pregnant. Type in Andrea Jones and type in Queen of Halo. And please just excuse the audio. They're trying to ruin my evidence. They're making me work on it outside at the bus stop. And I need you just to really look closely at the titles and what I'm saying, and then go back and look at the evidence for yourself to please help us in Jesus' name. So I need this evidence to come out so bad, being that they are leaving me pregnant at a bus stop, that I don't have time to fix the audio and make the audio match up with the clip. It was matching, but I had to erase some videos out of the movie or the Andrea Jones story. So it's not matching up exactly with the clip, but the information is in the audio and the information is on the clips. And I'm trying to fill it in as much as I can. This was the most recent heartbeat reading from when the man was starving me in the motel. But most importantly, to look at the heartbeat readings that I had from when I was inside of these people's homes where they were trying to set the baby up to be killed. So the Andrea Jones story is about to continue, but the audio is going to be off from the clips a little bit. But I really need you to pay attention to the names, the titles. They are on my channels. And then listen to the audio, because it's going to let you know that you can go and look at this evidence for yourself. And you can see them abusing me. You can see me pregnant. You can hear the baby's heartbeat. You can see me struggling trying to put the evidence together at a bus stop with my phone being dead. And I really need to be rescued out of America. I really need my son to be returned to me. We need to be rescued because they are abusing me and my baby and me. So I took my baby's heartbeat from several different locations when I got here to Atlanta, Georgia. They tortured me in Texas for protecting myself while pregnant, and they ran me from Texas. So I fled to Arkansas and I fled to Atlanta, Georgia. No charges, but just leaving from the persecution from having shot a white male and being pregnant. And so I came here and they tried to set me up to be murdered in Atlanta the very first night in abandoned apartments and buildings. Then I put that on my social media channels, what they were doing, and trying to set me up to be murdered with the Atlanta police. And so it was about my pregnancy, about how small my stomach was. They got people set up to murder me about the case. And so I got a fetal heart monitor. I got accepted into Salvation Army, and I told them what they did to me, and they staged to put me outside, and they have been sex trafficking me to different males trying to kill the baby and starve me. And I took the baby's heartbeat from all of the locations, or several of the locations where they had me, to show that the baby was alive. They were trying to say that I was not pregnant. They are still leaving me outside and having men solicit me for sex and prostitution, and they are still trying to starve me. They're still starving us, and they're still trying to lie and kill the baby and say it was a tumor. The blacks are worshiping the whites. So before we get into how I got in this position, I just wanted to show y'all the way they had this man treating me that has me in this motel room. He said, "Good morning, I will be there," when I started exposing that he was starving us. I said, "Okay." And then I said, "Where are you?" by 11:48. He never replied. And I said, "Why you tell me you were going to be here and you not here by 12:30? So that's how they got them starving us, just trying to ignore me and try to stop me from putting out evidence. So first of all, I want to tell y'all something very special about my case. On my channel, Queen of Halo, I have a playlist with my baby's heartbeat, and it shows all the locations that they had me in, from the Salvation Army, where they staged for me to be out of the shelter here in Atlanta, Georgia, when I came here. and it has the baby's heartbeat showing that I was pregnant. And they continue to stage to try to kill this baby in me, and the baby is alive. And they have been starving us and trying to murder us because I shot a white man, because I shot my baby's daddy in the leg, and he's white and he was abusing us. They had the evidence. They knew I was pregnant. They tried to murder the baby in the jail, and the baby is still alive. So despite me putting out the baby's little heartbeat all over social media, these people still continue to think that, oh, we just going to murder this lady's baby and keep her son from her, because I was protecting myself and my 22-month-old son. And they just had these people lying. So this is the baby's heartbeat from a few days ago in this motel room. He knows I'm pregnant and they're still trying to starve us. This is the baby's heartbeat from March 30th, 2021 this year. They sex trafficked me to a man named Marcus Mitchell from the Salvation Army. They staged to have me put out of the shelter. He knew I was pregnant and he was trying to kill the baby inside of the apartment for my family. So I am pregnant. The evidence is out that I'm pregnant, but they're trying to do a satanic blood ritual on me and my baby and offer me and my baby up to Satan and white people because I shot a white man in self-defense. So this man just basically gang raped me. They gang raping me, and they are gang raping me from the shelter and from my family's home, by leaving me out on the streets and allowing the gang members to pick me up, bring me places, tell me lies, make me have sex with them, starve us, and send me to the next person that's in the gang. So I texted the man because he was pretending like he wanted to help us and saying he could tell that I was pregnant. And I'm like, I'm over here working on some evidence about my kids and we're hungry and I'm pregnant. You're supposed to be helping us. And I'm like, I'm not trying to fight with you. Oh, still no answer, no text back, no nothing. We got crackers and chips. That's all we have to eat. And so they know that they're starving us. The entire country is doing this as part of a blood ritual where they're trying to murder us. Okay, so what does the ritual consist of? I am pregnant. I have been pregnant for years and denied medical care. And this is my baby's heartbeat from this year off a fetal heart monitor. This is my baby's heartbeat from my channel, Andrea Antoinette Jones channel, from March 4th, 2021, where they had me in a motel, an apartment complex with a man named Marcus Mitchell. He was trying to murder the baby in my belly. And I know you're thinking, well, why are they starving a pregnant black woman in a motel room? Because it's the same baby from the jail that they tried to kill. So they started trying to hide the baby's heartbeat and trying to tap my phone and the app that I was using for the fetal heart monitor. And they had me in an apartment with a man named Marcus Mitchell here in Atlanta, Georgia, and Luther Landis after they staged for me to leave the Salvation Army. I told y'all they tortured us in Texas, and they were trying to hide the baby's heartbeat, and my child father was out there in Texas on drugs, and they were trying to keep my son from me. My child father was on meth, heroin, and crack, and he was abusing me, and I was pregnant, and I shot him in the leg, and they tried to kill and starve me and the baby in a jail cell before a trial. So now they had me at different locations trying to record my baby's heartbeat, and I was recording the baby's heartbeat and putting it online and trying to get somebody who could help us, and they just are the ones watching the videos, and they're trying to stop me from getting anybody to help us, and they're trying to kill the baby in me. So this is my baby's heartbeat reading from February 15, 2021, which was the day after Valentine's Day. They staged for me to be put out of the shelter in February, and they staged for me to go with a man named Marcus Mitchell. I was recording my baby's heartbeat inside of the home, and I was pregnant. And I still am pregnant with the same baby. And they're trying to starve us and kill it. So this was my baby's heartbeat reading from February 10th between the time frame of 2:40 a.m. and 2:55 a.m. at the Salvation Army in Atlanta, Georgia on 469 Marietta Street. And they didn't want to take me into the shelter when I first came, but they did finally take me, and I told them what happened to me and the baby in Texas, and they staged to have me put out of the shelter and tried to poison us in the shelter with food, and poison our food. And then they tried to fight me outside of the shelter. They tried to stage to have me arrested instead of just having my back. And then they set me up 4 days later to go with a man named Marcus Mitchell, and he was trying to kill the baby and starve me in Luther Landing Apartments in Atlanta, Georgia. So this is my channel, the Queen Andrea Antoinette Jones channel, and they just recently tried to murder me out of Buckhead, Atlanta, and they had gotten my channel shut down. They had gotten the Andrea Antoinette Jones channel shut down with the baby's heartbeat readings. And then I started Queen Andrea Antoinette Jones channel, and I have several other channels. But I spoke to YouTube, and I talked to them about my baby's heartbeat readings and that it was evidence, and they put my channel back up. And I prayed to Jesus Christ that they would turn the evidence over to anybody who could help us, and they restored my channel, which was a blessing. And now I'm putting out the evidence that I am pregnant. After all the abuse that y'all are about to see, I just want to tell y'all that this is not for children. So in the beginning, I told y'all that I'm pregnant and that I shot my child father in self-defense in September 2018. They held me for 11 months in a Montgomery County jail, and they let me out starved and pregnant. And I have another channel called God Defeat Freemasons, because the black Freemasons, the black men in America, knew that I was pregnant and that Austin was abusing me, and they tried to help murder me in a jail cell pregnant with racist whites. On my channel, Leaving Egypt, everybody knows I was pregnant from the Montgomery County jail. I have a channel called The Lion of Judah, and everybody knows I was pregnant from the Montgomery County jail. And I have a channel called Queen Andrea Antoinette Jones. Everybody knows I was pregnant. I went to a man named Kiwi's house, and Cookie, Pug, everybody over there saw I was pregnant. And my sister saw that I was pregnant, and they was trying to set me up to be murdered while I was pregnant in the jail. When I thought about my sister setting me up to be murdered, I just thought about how much pain I was in the jail. I was in so much pain being pregnant. And as you can see, I was very skinny, very small, with a baby bump. And I sent these pictures to my sister Larissa Jones in Atlanta, Georgia, to tell her what they did to my body, even though God already showed me that she was involved with setting me up to be murdered, pregnant in the jail. I was at a woman named Cookie's house in Montgomery County in Cat, and they was all trying to say the baby was dead and me, and it wasn't, and they was smoking cigarettes and stuff. But I didn't know that they was trying to get me to start smoking them. I didn't know all the black women in America was trying to set me and my baby up to be murdered. And there I was posting the baby's heartbeat, that the baby was still alive and the heartbeat was still good. February 2021, darn near 2 years later. And they had sex trafficked me and abused me all the way to Atlanta, Georgia. And I was posting my baby's heartbeat from the Salvation Army. And they staged to have me put out of the Salvation Army because they didn't want to help us, knowing what they did to us in the jail and that the baby was still alive. But the prosecutor should know that everybody in the Montgomery County Jail knows that I'm pregnant and that they made me sleep with black men while I was already pregnant. And they was trying to kill it. So at least it showed that my family and friends and community didn't care about me and that I really didn't have nobody to turn to. If there would have been a trial, then the jury, you get to see now how many people would have set me up to be murdered and killed, knowing that I was pregnant and being abused. I didn't have nowhere to turn. I went to my sister's house when I got out, but she set me up. She set me up and acted like she didn't know that I was pregnant and terrorized me and sent me to gang members. And they sent me to more gang members. And they continue to pull guns on me and make me have sex with them at all these different locations and starve me, bringing me into motel rooms and meeting me at gas stations and at the Motel 6. And they tried to shoot me. They did all kind of stuff to me knowing that I was pregnant. They made me go with a man named Blackjack first from the Montgomery County Jail. And he was in Montgomery, Texas, somebody I knew from Conroe, Texas. And he tried to fight me and forced me to have sex with him and tried to stage to have me arrested. Then I went to a man named Keevy's house. Blackjack had an assault charge. Keevy had a rape charge. Keevy tried to have sex with me, and they tried to get violent with me, and they kicked me out their home. And then they took me to meet with my sister, and my sister saw that I was pregnant. All three of these people saw that I was pregnant. Everybody did. And then my sister told me I had to leave her house. And God said that she could tell that I was pregnant and that you could see the baby moving in my stomach. And then she set me up for me to lose my son with Austin's mom. And God was showing me that they was trying to set me up to be murdered together while I was in the jail and try to cover up all the evidence about my pregnancy and about my son. I'm pregnant by him right now in this motel room, and he got out of prison abusing me in my home July 2018. We had a 22-month-old son, and our son was 5 weeks old when he went to prison. I was living in Conroe, Texas in a 2-bedroom with my son. My son was 20 months old when he got out. He was abusing me, got me pregnant and abusing my son. And I shot him in Baytown Seafood in a public place. And they charged me for protecting myself, brought me into jail pregnant and bleeding, threatened to rape and mutilate my child. Then they tried to murder me and this baby in the jail cell, and Jesus Christ came in the cell. Austin said he gave his soul to Satan. Cynthia said his mom said she gave her soul to Satan. My family and them was with them doing the witchcraft blood ritual trying to sacrifice me to Satan in America, cover up the evidence that he was abusing me, cover up that I was pregnant, and then try to let him kill my baby as a blood sacrifice. But Jesus Christ stopped him, and I pray my little boy is still alive and I'm pregnant, and that's why they starving me and having people try to start the baby bump because the baby kept growing. After I got out of the jail, I started eating. I knew that nobody came and bonded me out and that everybody was doing witchcraft trying to set me up to be murdered in the jail, but I had just no idea of just how many people was going to try to set me up to be murdered and killed with this baby and me when I got out, including my own baby sister. So they set me up with blackjack. God called them black terrorists. A man named Sterling Blackjack, Montgomery, Texas, assault charge. A man named Kiwi, a rape charge in Montgomery, Texas, and Conroe, Texas, and his family, and then my own sister in Channelview, Texas. And then they sex trafficked me, and I started smoking cigarettes because they had lied on the ultrasound to try to say I wasn't pregnant, and I started smoking cigarettes, and then they kicked me out. She told me I had to leave her home knowing I was pregnant, and I was sex trafficked by gang members. I had a vision of my little sister Shakina setting me up in the jail, pretending like she was going to bond me out, and then saying that she thought I killed Austin. She was never even in our life. She never even met this man as far as I knew, but he was abusing me, and there was evidence. And then I seen the whites threatening my family to hurt them or if they came forward with any information. And then that Shakina was setting me up to be homeless so that when I went to the custody hearing December 2019 to get my son back, that I couldn't get my son back. And Cynthia had did witchcraft threatening to rape him and kill him. And there my family member was setting me up to leave her house so that I can go with gang members and so they could lie about my pregnancy and harm us and starve us and try to set me up to be murdered, and then say that I was a drug addict and a prostitute and couldn't get my son when she could have just let me stay in her house. I was not on drugs when I got out of jail. I wasn't on drugs before I went. I'm not a drug addict, really. And I just would have got my son back, but they were jealous of me, which is what God said. So they set me up to go with gang members, and when I was in the jail, I was seeing Austin's mama, and Austin's white mother said she was racist and she was a grand witch and that she was going to use my little sister to set me up to be murdered. And I went with a man named Jakiba in Chambers County, and they were pulling guns on me. Travis Gomes was there, Judy, Jakiba, Jakimba. They were shooting around the property, trying to starve me, trying to make me lose my job that I had gotten signed, trying to make me have sex with them. And all of this was before the custody hearing. And in December 2019, they tried to stop me from going. Judge Tracy Gilbert reset the court date and lied on court documents, saying that I didn't take a parenting class when I never told me to. And then, like a day later, he wanted me to take the class. I didn't have the money. I was pregnant and starving, and I didn't know these people was trying to set me up to kill the baby and set me up to not be able to get my son back. I told Jakiba that I was pregnant, and Jakiba had drug charges. He had drug charges for marijuana. Travis said he had just got out of prison, and then the other brother had shot someone, they said. So they had me in another house full of criminals that were trying to set me up to be murdered. And when I went to the hospitals in Baytown, Texas, and Chambers County, they were lying and saying that I wasn't pregnant. And then they tried to stop me from making it to my little boy's custody hearing by saying they wouldn't take me. So I just said I'll move out, and I moved to Conroe, Texas, homeless to make it to my son's custody hearing. And I stayed at Reverend Stewart's house, the man Kiwi's grandfather, showing them that I was pregnant. And I showed Judge Tracy Gilbert all the evidence that Austin was abusing me, and the charges were dropped. But he already knew they tortured my baby in the cell, threatened to rape my baby, took him as retaliation, and he had no intentions of giving me my child. And he knew that I was being set up by my family to be trafficked to gang members to make me look like a prostitute and a drug addict and to kill my baby and keep my son from me. They sex trafficked me to another black male named Colin. He had just got out of prison. They sex trafficked me right after they gave my son away, December 2019. So I was at my sister's house from August when I first got out, and at Kiwi's house and Blackjack's house the first week. Then by October, they sex trafficked me to Jakiba, and by December, I was being sex trafficked to a man named Colin. And he was also a gang member that knew that I was pregnant. He was trying to starve me inside of the apartment, telling me that he would give me my own room so I could get a job and try to get on my feet to get my son. And God said that he was going to shoot Colin. He said he was going to shoot him for all the places that they made me walk. And I was pregnant, and Colin knew that I was pregnant, and he was in there starving me and trying to make me sick inside of the home for these people that wanted me dead. And then he trafficked me and put me out of the house. He raped me inside of the home. And then he put me out to allow me to be gang raped by another gang member that would try to kill the baby. And God said not to have any contact with Cynthia O'Vera. I talked to my son on the phone while I was at Colin's house. I called Cynthia and I spoke to my son. He told me he loved me, Mommy. And I said I love him too. My stomach was almost flat and I was still pregnant because they had been starving me. And I asked God what to do. Do I get on YouTube and start telling my story? Do I get a job like they say without getting medical care and keep getting gang raped? What do I do? And God said, let's call Cynthia O'Vera. And then he made me tell her, I will not have any contact with you. I'm pressing charges on Austin, on your son, for abusing me. And God said you was wrong for trying to keep my son from me, and that you was parading my son around. Colin was also trying to have people fight me. He was trying to have a black woman fight me, and then they was also trying to have other women staged to be pregnant and lie about my pregnancy. And then he had told me I had to get out of his home. They was having them smoking weed and cigarettes with me. He told me I had to get out of his home, and I was sex trafficked to a man named Jarvis and Antonio Dean. This is where Colin had me in Houston, Texas, in Steeplechase Apartments. They sex trafficked me to several hundred men from Antonio Dean. I ran from him because Jarvis and Antonio were trying to take out cell phones in my name, lines of credit. They were trying to get me in trouble for con artists, wire fraud, all kind of stuff. And I ran away, and I was sex trafficked and raped while pregnant by several men. Maybe it could have been 100, but I used protection because I was starving and they made me do it in order to have food. And then I had met a man named James Devon Harris at a gas station, and I didn't know that he was a gang member, and he pulled a gun on me after I told him that I was pregnant. He and his mother and family was starving me in Chisholm Trail Apartments in Houston, Texas, and I called Harris County Police and had him charged. I had a video recording. I still have the video recording of him pulling the gun on me, and he was charged. By this time, they were trying to get me arrested and say I was a prostitute. I had got a job at Pizza Hut when I had got in Colin's house, but then he kicked me out the day that I got hired at Pizza Hut, and they wouldn't give me my paycheck when I went to get it, so I just quit, and they just kept sex trafficking me. Now they were trying to have people set me up like in a prostitution sting to try to stage an arrest, and I was still pregnant, but I had got numb because of all of the men that they had raping me and having sex with me. And they tried to have his parents fight me. Well, they had his parents trying to set women up to fight me. His mother was trying to set people up to fight me in her home and kill my baby. And they was trying to get me to drink alcohol and get drunk with them. And then she put me out and sex trafficked me to several hundred men. after I left her home with a suitcase pregnant. And I told her what they did to us in the jail. And I told James what they did to us in the jail. And I told him that they took my son. And I told him all the evidence. And he was acting like he was in love with me and saying we was going to get married and get an apartment. And he was setting me up to be murdered. They sex trafficked me to a man named Cullen who worked for Baytown Nissan. And he was trying to stage arrest to have me arrested after I told him that I was pregnant. And what they did to us, he tried to fight me and set me up to be arrested from his apartment and then dropped me off with another male that tried to do the same thing in Houston, Texas. A man named JT met me at Greenspoint Mall after I left Beverly Raoul's home, and I was dropped off by the African male from Cullen's house, and he said his cousin Sharonica Shay would let me come stay there. She said she was Lil Boosie girlfriend in Trinity Gardens with a daughter named Bree, and she was starving me damn near to death in her home. I stayed for a few days. She tried to fight me and kill the baby, and then they were trying to set me up like a prostitute, and I got a call from James Devon Harris I got a call saying he was getting out of the jail, bonded out, and then I had to hurry and flee from her home, and I believe I told her that I was pregnant, that she was when she tried to starve me. But I ended up leaving her home, regardless if I told her I was pregnant or not. She tried to do the gang stuff to me, and I fled from her home. Black men just kept giving me rides left and right. When Sharonica tried to fight me, it was a black man already right there to pick me up and give me a ride. I didn't know they were following me, targeting me and this baby, trying to set us up to be murdered. And then they made me go with a man named Ray, and Ray tried to rape me inside of his home, I think in Twin Falls. And he tried to have his family poison my water. They did poison me, and he was trying to fight me inside of the home and trying to make me get STDs, but I didn't have sex with him. Then they sex trafficked me to a male in Palace Inn motel room in Greens Point, and he was trying to get me to have sex with him and cash out me like he was trying to do a prostitution sting, and they was trying to set me up as a prostitute and trying to set me up to be arrested and get diseases. So I was still pregnant with this baby, and I was walking from the motel room because the man left when I wouldn't have sex with him. He left me there, and I was walking in the rain, and I was going to get something from McDonald's. I didn't really understand how bad they were trying to starve me, to try to start a fetus to my baby and me. And I met a man here. He asked me if I needed a ride. I said yes. Then he starved me, made me wait in his car till the end of the night, took me to get some Whataburger, and said I could stay at his motel room at the Motel 6 with him there. I think I'm 1960. And then he tried to made me throw the rest of my food away after only taking a couple of bites. And then he tried to ask me to set up OnlyFans and asked me if I turned tricks, and I told him no. And then he said, well, I'm going to drop you off somewhere, and he tried to drop me off somewhere. His roommate tried to rape me first, and then he was trying to get violent with me, and then he said he was going to drop me off, and he tried to drop me off at a hotel where there was police already there trying to stage a arrest and a murder. This was the Motel 6 location, and he dropped me off somewhere else, and I had went on ahead and told the man at the motel. He didn't drop me off at the motel. I was staying at the Motel 6 with him. Then he dropped me off at another motel, and there was police there, and they was trying to look like set me up. And so I told the man at the front desk to give me the money back after the guy left, and then I never went into the room. And the man gave me the $50 or $60 for the room, and I ran away. The black man kept sex trafficking me, and they made me go to the strip club, and they tried to crush the baby in my belly and trying to act like they was hugging me, and They made me go with them chasing me in cars, and they made me go with James Devon Harris, and he tried to pull a gun on me and tried to set the baby up to be killed in the Wilcox for Austin, and then he stayed for me to be out of there. And they stayed for me to go with a man named LaMarcus Sanders and Lily Morris. Bianca and Charles Cross tried to crush the baby and fight me. And they denied me medical care. They denied me into the shelters in Houston. And they had me outside sleeping at bus stops and trying to set me up still to be murdered. And I started my channel inside of the house with LaMarcus Sanders because he was trying to starve me and do all of the gang stuff that they do. And when I did that, it was like God had rained down on me a blessing, and they were trying to sabotage me from having a business or having money or having a job because they needed to pay me out to be a prostitute and a drug addict for Cynthia, the woman who stole my son. So I fled from LaMarcus and Greenspoint and all over Texas, and they had me in a man's house named Henry Brown, and he was trying to set me up to go to a satanic ritual death pregnant, and I was showing the baby moving like on camera in my videos. But a satanic ritual death is when black people know the evidence, see your case, but they gonna sit there and let white people set you up to be murdered. And God told me to run. He said, my God, Jehovah can deliver me. And I passed out on the side of the highway, and then people were setting me up. Ben Todd was refusing to give me medical care. Black girls were setting me up. Shelters was denying me. All the shelters in Houston denied me into their shelters so they could do this operation. And I was showing that my baby was alive, and someone from a ministry was sending me money to help me get in motel rooms. And then I was showing that the black men kept trying to pick me up and sex traffic me and bring me to motel rooms like I was a prostitute. I was in the motel rooms by myself most of the time. And then my auntie told me I could come to Arkansas, and I went to Arkansas with her. She tried to set me up out there like to be murdered. And then I fled to Atlanta, Georgia. And I was telling in Texas before my aunt told me to come down there. I was telling about them trying to set me up with the KKK. And my aunt knew that I was pregnant, and she knew that Austin was abusing me. And I had not seen my son, is what God said. And then so I left her home and I came to Atlanta, Georgia. And they tried to just rip everything apart. So I was explaining on my YouTube channels that I was leaving Texas, that I had to flee from Texas. But I felt like I should be safe because I was with a family member, but boy, was I wrong. So when I got there, everything seemed normal, just like it always does when you go to your cousin or auntie house. But no, she was trying to set us up, and God let me know it was to be killed. And there I was on my way to Atlanta, Georgia. Knowing that they were going to try to set me up, but I didn't know just how bad. And while I'm putting out this evidence, they got a man trying to starve us, so I said no text back, knowing that me and the baby needed food this morning, and he never showed up. So they thought they just was going to murder a baby and me in the jail and lie about the case. So the white women thought they would just go murder the baby. The white men thought they just was gonna murder baby, trying to poison food and stuff, calling themselves Illuminati, and gonna take my son and do some ritual and try to murder me in a jail cell. And my family thought they was just gonna, God showed them as murdering the baby, or trying to murder the baby as well, because he was showing that my family knew that I was pregnant, and for some reason he was showing them like trying to get some status or something for trying to murder me. And this is the man house they tried to set me up to be murdered for a satanic ritual death where they killed a black person, have a black police come arrest a black person for nothing, and set her up to be murdered by the whites. So they had old white women that was trying to murder me. And God told me to leave his house. So I did. And they did chase me. I didn't have no warrants or anything. But you know when people try to set you up to be murdered for a satanic death ritual. So this man had basically made a video because it was clear that I was pregnant, and they just thought they was going to do whatever they wanted to do. And so the part about my family showed my friends, because God was showing my friends and family taking his side because he was white and just not loving me or caring about me, and feeling like, okay, give her son away to him because Cynthia, him is white, and leave Andrea in there pregnant and let them kill it because they white and she shot a white person. So God was showing me specifically that my family knew that I was pregnant and that they wanted the baby dead, showing them trying to attack me. And so I ended up going to my Aunt Barbara's house in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I was making videos on my YouTube channel by this point because they were trying to murder me in Texas, and they had my family setting me up and leaving me outside on the streets. They was trying to just cover up their involvement now because they was mad, I guess, that Jesus kept the baby alive. And I came here to Atlanta, Georgia, and they started trying to set me up immediately to be murdered out of apartments, knowing that I had a YouTube channel telling about everything from Texas. And this was me in Texas, and my visions of Beyonce, knowing about my pregnancy, and then they had me passed all out on the side of the road. I was very, very starved, and they were showing my friends, some people who was my friends, knowing about the evidence. They tried to kill the baby in me in St. Luke's, tried to have the doctor crush the baby, knowing I was small, but just lie and say I wasn't pregnant. And I told them what they did to me in the jail, and they denied me into shelters. And these are videos about the people whose house they had me in when I first got out, because they had to go through the people closest to me to make them lie about my pregnancy and then feed me to gang members. So they had my sister, my little sister was in Texas, could have helped us. They had her set up to lie, sex, and traffic me, basically pregnant, and then set it up to where I was outside so I couldn't get my son. And I was putting out all the evidence about what they was doing to me in Atlanta, and just showing my stomach and showing the visions and showing that it was fake black rights movements, because they always just trying to sit back and just set me up to be murdered. Like, the charges were dropped. They didn't want to take it to trial. They didn't want to tell the truth about the evidence. They even had my friends lying about the evidence, and they had gang members trying to fight me. And Greenbrier Mall, when I first got down here, they sent these men to me while I was working on the evidence. They had me outside in the very cold month of January 2021 this year, and they had black men picking me up from train stations and keep setting me up at locations to be killed in the middle of the night and off the transit systems. And I still kept putting out the evidence about my son and the truth that Austin was abusing us, and I was in my home taking care of my baby boy, and I was pregnant, and I'm pregnant. So they set me up like this at the West End to sex traffic me, and they accepted me into the Salvation Army, and I told everybody that I got in the Salvation Army. And the woman in the Salvation, this is the woman in the Salvation Army, I told her I was pregnant. I told her what they did, that they stole my son. I was recording videos of my stomach, of the baby still moving, and they had my phone tapped, and had the people at the Salvation Army try to deny me at first, and they had them spying on me, poisoning chicken, trying to stop me from putting out the evidence about my son and my pregnancy. And I had bought a heart monitor, and I started posting the baby heartbeat. But they had them trying to fight me. I was only in the shelter for not even a week, almost, and I was having visions of God showing that Cynthia was a child molester, and that she was in this satanic coven, and that he better be alive. And I was coming, he said I was going to put out the evidence, and then when I make it back to Texas, he better be alive. So they're trying to murder me in Texas, and I was already telling inside the shelter that they were trying to sex traffic us, because they were trying to have men
solicit me inside the shelter, outside the shelter, and I already knew they was trying to set me up to be murdered before I came to the shelter. So I told, and I posted the baby's heartbeat from inside of the shelter because I had spent $50 on it. And this was a video of him trying to starve me and the women in the shelter taking food off of their trays and giving it to me. And then Rochelle Frazier and Officer Graham tried to fight me and kill the baby and tried to stage an arrest. As y'all can see, the Atlanta police was bothering me and stuff like that because I came down here pregnant. So they sex trafficked me to gang members from the West End Mall, and they just I started doing hair, and they shut down my phone to try to make me look like a prostitute that didn't have no business about myself. I was doing hair in my house when Austin got out. I was doing hair in my house. So they shut down my phone, made me go with one man who was staying by a federal prison out here, and he tried to kick me out and sex traffic me. He tried to make me have sex with him, and I told the truth that God said Austin was going to jail and that it was wrong for my family and everybody and friends to be trying to set me up to be murdered. So then they sex trafficked me to Marcus Mitchell from the West End Mall February 14th, and I was in there recording music, doing my baby heartbeat, showing the truth that he was seducing me, and then I got tired of it because I was pregnant and I didn't like being set up. And so he tried to kick me out for not having sex with him. And I was having sex with him. He was trying to have sex with me all hard. And I was recording music and preoccupied with him. And I had already basically put out the evidence. I was just being set up in an apartment instead of them doing right by me and the baby. And Marcus was trying to sex traffic me because he had gang raped me and hit me. So now it was time for him to pass me to somebody else and then cover up that he had me in the location. And God said that he was trying to kill the baby. God said that he was trying to starve me in the house, kept putting me out every time I got groceries. And God said that my Barbara was setting me up, my cousin Michelle, my sister Larissa. He said that my baby daddy was setting me up and that they was going to try to hide the baby's heartbeat and also was going to be on drugs. And so they had Marcus Mitchell in there getting my hair done, and I was telling about my visions and telling about the child that Cynthia was a grand witch, a child molester. She came in visions telling me she was going to set me up in 24 hours. The man Marcus Mitchell, God said, y'all need to stop trying to kill that baby. That baby is not going to die. And I did all these visions and stuff and kept working on the case and had the man do a music video with me and everything about my music. But God said that my sister Larissa was setting me up. My sister Shakina was setting me up. But he said, tell Shakina that his name was more powerful than all the people that try to intimidate her thinking they're going to kill us. But he was showing her setting me up too, because she had did the witchcraft on me too, trying to kill the baby, because she knew that she was the first person whose house I went to when I got out, and Shakina was trying to cover it up like her honor of, damn, I knew my sister was back there pregnant. I knew she was pregnant when she got out. I was doing witchcraft on her. I was trying to help kill her baby for these white folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was being wicked, but she's still my little sister, and God was saying something about they had turned my little sister wicked at a very young age to worship white people and not have my back. And so I was telling about the celebrities that knew, and then God showed me they was all Satanists, that they all worshiped white people, that they all had the evidence, that they all knew I was pregnant, and that they all was worshiping the devil, because God had said that the old white man was the devil, and they was over here trying to kill me and my baby and me for them. And they had me smoking from the stress. And I was showing the visions of God, saying that I was in a neighborhood where they was trying to treat me very nasty in Conroe, Texas, and that I stood up for myself and I was not afraid of them white people. And they had Marcus trying to fight me inside the house, and I was pregnant, and he knew that I was pregnant and that I was still recording the baby's heartbeat and putting out the evidence about my son, and he kept having us outside and come back, and I was telling about the things that was going on in America and that I loved myself as a black woman, and then telling about different people that disappeared and these celebrities promoting this satanic agenda that also was doing witchcraft on me, trying to have me murdered. He was with me walking through the grocery store pregnant, couldn't hardly walk, and they just had him in there trying to terrorize me, and they had his roommate Dave at Luther Landing Apartments trying to terrorize me. And all the dates and times and everything is here on these videos because YouTube put the evidence back up about what they did to me. Because they had the channel removed, they was flying rockets and chemicals over me like I was in a war zone while I was in the house with them, the United States government. They gave this man an apartment and had this man in there terrorizing me, pregnant with this baby, and flying chemicals over us. And I said, they flying chemicals over us and rockets. And he tried to act like he didn't know what was going on. And then I was telling the truth. Then when I said it was my apartment, part 1 and 2, that was about what happened to me in Texas and about my apartment and what Austin came doing and why he got shot, that he was attacking my baby and that I was pregnant, and telling the truth about Cynthia. And then they had the black women from Luther Landing Apartments try to fight me right there in front of the apartment building and set me up to be killed for the KKK. And then I was out there by Walmart telling the truth, and they started flying the chemicals and rockets over me by the Walmart. And God had told me we was in Egypt and that they had took my son and that they was worshiping false gods. And then they had set me up on the transit system. He was trying to sex traffic me. Marcus tried to sex traffic me to a MARTA employee and eat food in my face. And I went back to where he had me, and they was not flying no chemicals over there. Then he called me and said that he was evicted, that he got into it with a neighbor, that they was putting him out, and that's why I had to leave. That's why the women put me out and brought me to a motel room on Fulton Industrial. And then I had a vision of my cousin Irma trying to attack me and do voodoo for my family to cover up that my family was involved with the murder. And then God had stopped me from stabbing her in the eye, and he let me win. And that was the man Marcus Mitchell right there. I was telling him I was starving. He was eating food in my face and had brought me to the Super Inn Motel and tried to set me up like a prostitute. They had refrigerators there and microwaves there, but right now they have me in a motel in Glenwood Road that does not have a refrigerator or microwave, because I was having Marcus go and give me TV dinners, and he was mad about that, to put in the refrigerator. So now they think they got us set up real good. And Fulton Industrial was a whole stroll, so they was trying to stage an arrest by having me hungry out there pregnant, and they had Marcus abandon me and try to leave me with a pimp inside of the motel room. And he was trying to argue with me and screaming with me on the bus, and they had the MARTA employees involved trying to set me up to be murdered off the transit systems. And they had strip clubs over there, and I told, and I was screaming and crying on my social media that he's over here trying to starve me and calling me a man, and they starving my baby bump for these white people, and I'm pregnant, and the evidence is everywhere. And he brought me in there pretending like he loved me, and I told him Cynthia was a child molester, and he was like, oh, we gonna go out there and get your son, and he was setting me up for them. And then so I was like, I'm just gonna rest in the Lord. And I even had to read my Bible because he was trying to abuse me on camera and try to lie and say that, oh, I wasn't pregnant. They didn't starve me after the whole time he was pretending he was on my side, and he knew the baby was alive. He felt my baby bump, said, you got to get out of my house because that baby getting bigger. And that's what everybody that was setting me up did. Like as soon as I started showing, as soon as it started showing I was pregnant, because they brought me in the location trying to kill the baby, every single person whose house I was in. And then when they figured out that I was showing and putting out evidence, and then their involvement, they were like, oh no, we got to put it out because we trying to murder the baby, just like they were trying to do in the jail cell. So they was completely defying Jesus Christ when he told them to stop doing that to me in the jail, thinking like, oh, we just gonna kill it out here. And God had already stopped them, and that was me reading my Bible while he was abusing me in the background, saying that the word of God was more powerful than what they was doing to me. And I was in the Super Inn, and I did a little makeover, said that my survival mechanism was to just get pretty and let anybody have to basically take advantage of me so I could have food for the baby. But I still was fighting, and I did what I had to do and let Marcus take advantage of me. And he left me, well, he tried to have me homeless on the streets, and I just walked away from him and did my own thing outside to try to get my help. And a man named Bruce White picked me up, and God said I need to tell the truth about Bruce White in order to get my child. So I was outside downtown explaining my whereabouts, that I was outside being set up, and then a man picked me up from Westlake train station because somebody around the area was telling me I could come stay with them, but it was another setup. And he brought me into motel rooms and was buying me, I already had that wig or whatever, but then he started buying me wigs and stuff, and the man was in here starving me in the motel room while I was putting out this information, trying to get all this information. The man that got me here was in there starving me, and This is me and Bruce White room. He had put me in the extended stay. It's called the Savannah Suites. And as you can see, I was big. I was pregnant. It was not his baby. Same baby from the jail. You can obviously tell I'm pregnant. And I had already put out the information about my son. And you see how everybody set me up to be sex trafficked. And now Bruce was forcing me to have sex with him. And then he was telling me, oh, be naked for him in a motel room. And I was telling about everything. And that this was about me being abused by Austin and about me just pretty much loving myself and still putting out the information. And then this was about me telling that Cynthia was a child molester, that they were sex trafficking us in this coven, that they were sex trafficking me, telling the entire truth of what they was doing, because Bruce was leaving me in the room without no key and trying to leave me in there starving, saying he'll come back. And I just left the room door open and walked to Publix down the street and had food stamps still or whatever I had to eat. And then as you see, they had a refrigerator, microwave for me to store food. And I trusted that nobody wasn't going to go in there and bother my stuff. And I got food, but he tried to starve us. And then I told the truth. Also, they could sex traffic me to try to make Austin look like he was innocent because he was white. They did that to me as a black woman. And they were trying to set me up to be killed. And then look at my baby bump was completely damn near starved. And I had met men around the room, and I had to tell about everybody who I was meeting. I told about how God said I wasn't guilty and I had found a way to get food. And I was showing how I found a way to get food, although Bruce tried to starve me in there. And then my son was abducted through litigation abuse. Bruce had probation. Marcus Mitchell had probation for us, so Bruce was on probation. And then I had visions of the baby, and the baby was still moving. And I'll tell y'all about the vision that I had of the baby. But I was going out and getting food, as y'all can see, and I was still telling about my case just like I was the entire time when I was in Houston, Texas, all through Little Rock, all through Atlanta. And Atlanta knew that I was pregnant, and they tried to do some old Hollywood shit and set me up out here and kill my baby. And so then they had, I went with a man named Deshaun Mapp and told him that Bruce was trying to force me to have sex, and Deshaun tried to rape me very hard in the room and kill the baby. And I told that I was an American sex slave and that they was abusing me and raping me about my son. They took my son, and I shot my white baby daddy. So they had black people raping on me, pregnant, and setting me up to be murdered, and then setting it up for Cynthia to keep my child. And she was a child molester, and my baby daddy was abusive, and they threatened to harm my boy. And then they said the only thing that protected my son, if he's still alive, is Jesus Christ, because they wanted to rape him and mutilate him and kill him. And Jesus stopped them from doing it to me and said, stop it. He told my baby daddy, do not kill that boy, when they had me in the jail. And they were trying to do a ritual on both of us. So they trafficked me, and I told that they were trying to kill me about my testimony, because I was pregnant in the jail. And I told y'all they brought me to Conroe Regional Hospital and lied about it, took me back in the jail, tried to keep murdering me, and God kept the baby alive. So Deshaun Mapp left us in the room, sex trafficking us to Bruce White. And Bruce White had lied and said that he was going to let me come and stay with him, and if I came and had sex with him. And I said, first he was trying to just get sex, and I said, no, let me come and stay with you if you're not going to be a man in my life and help me. And then so Bruce had me come out there to his home and gave me money and had sex with me and kicked me out back to the room where I was with Deshaun Mapp. But Deshaun Mapp had left me with no food in the room and never came back, and I had the money Bruce gave me. So now they were setting me up like a prostitute, and Bruce was not helping me. And then they sex trafficked me to a man named Fred. They tried to sex traffic me to a man named Kenneth, and then just several other different men. And then Marcus Mitchell came back from Texas, claiming that he wanted to work things out with me and admitting that he knew that I was pregnant by Austin John Metter. And he had me at Peachtree Ascent Hotel, and this is him telling that he knew I was pregnant by Austin and that it wasn't his, because he was trying to make it seem like me and him was going to have a baby, and that he kept trying to get me to take off condoms and have sex. And as y'all can see, that was a nice room, so it had places for me to store food, and I was going out to get food, and Marcus was still getting attitudes when I was going to get breakfast, and I still did not get it that they was all trying to starve me. Now I get it, seeing this man try to start me while I'm doing the evidence and I'm putting all of it together. And so Marcus tried to fight me and kill the baby when the camera was not on, and ran me out of the motel room and went back to Texas, or claimed he went back to Texas. And then I had to go with Bruce Wright. Now, when y'all say I had an incident where the police tried to arrest me out of Dunwoody Mall this same day, and I had put it up there, and Bruce White had said that I could come to the room with him. So remember, he was trying to start me in a motel room. He was trying to treat me like he didn't have to be the man in my life, and that he could just give my body and give me money. And it was a setup. God was saying he was doing that to try to set me up like a prostitute for Cynthia and Austin and them, to try to set me up down here in Atlanta to make it look like I was prostituting myself to him, when they know they was sex trafficking me, and I was showing myself pregnant in the room with this male. He wasn't there. He had left at the time, but I was showing. And then so he sexted me, gave me money, and put me out and told me I could not stay and that he would come back and get me. So I was showing myself very small and tiny in motel room on Full Industrial by myself. I was in the room by myself, and I was telling about what they was doing. And I said, I need help out of America, because they over here sex trafficking me. They over here got these men setting me up, trying to kill my baby and me. They knew about my case, and everybody is being racist. In this video, I was crying about my family over here sex trafficking me for white people. They knew from the jump that Andrea was not guilty when she was in that jail, and they were trying to murder her. She wasn't guilty. They did it for the old white devil. So I explained who he was. CPS was involved because they knew that I was innocent. And then they were trying to make me abuse substances, and abusing pregnant women is illegal. And I said I'm going to get my justice. Everybody knew. My friends knew the evidence. The state knew the evidence. All the civilian celebrities knew the evidence. And they had Marta trying to make my Marta card stop working, to make me walk the street, to make me look like a prostitute and lose weight. Then they had a man pick me up from the West End and bring me into his house, and he was in there messing with my baby bump, and you could see that I was pregnant. And then he was trying to make fun of my baby bump, and I didn't know he was setting me up in the house, and I had a little money, and he tried to make it seem like I stole money from him, and then told me I had to get up out the house, because every time I started showing that I was pregnant in somebody's house, they had to hurry up and make me leave, because they was trying to kill the baby. And so there was a man who met me at the West End and said, I can tell that you pregnant, and God make babies, and it's gonna be all right. And then I still had to be sex trafficked, and they still kept hiding the evidence, and he was trying to sex traffic me, I believe, as well. And I didn't trust anybody, showing myself pregnant, all on the MARTA transit system, and them having gang members follow me. And so they had me go with a man named Victor Golden from the West End Mall, because I went to go get my nails done, and Victor Golden was trying to talk to me, and I said I want my vindication, because Victor was in there trying to set me up. And I told the truth that Cynthia was a child molester, and I told the truth about her witch coven, and I told the truth that they were trying to ruin my image, because they were trying to stop me from doing my hair. They were trying to stop me from doing my makeup. They were trying to have me in dirty clothes. They were trying to have me outside dirty. And then I just, I danced a little bit, to make myself feel better. And I felt like I was going to get the victory. So I danced a little bit, and then I was crying, saying that if my baby died in me after everything y'all done did, that y'all was going to have to kill me, because everybody set me up to be murdered, knowing the evidence about my case. And then the Chinese women stopped doing my nails and toes, and I had to do my own toes. Victor had charges as well. He was saying he had charges for assault on a woman. So they kept trying to bring me in the house with these black men. I was pregnant, trying to say I wasn't pregnant. And then Austin got assault charges, and they was trying to say that Austin was not guilty, and they was making me do my own nails, and then trying to say that I was guilty, and then putting me in the house with these men that had charges similar to Austin, and then was trying to set me up to be killed. And they did make death threats to my family in the jail, threatening to murder my entire family. And I was ran from my home with my child by my white baby daddy, and I shot him somewhere where there was a witness named wrote to me, an investigator named Jim McDougal. They had the evidence, and they sitting over here letting people rape me. So they set me up to leave Victor Golden's home because I was telling that it was Skull and Bones. I told in his house that the Skull and Bones, God showed me visions of Skull and Bones, and if y'all know anything about Skull and Bones, every history president of the United States was in Skull and Bones, and it's a demonic society that worship white people and they worship Satan. They don't worship Jehovah. They don't worship Jesus Christ. They don't care about black people. They racist. And Skull and Bones was trying to leave me dead in the cell for shooting a white man in self-defense, and they knew I was pregnant and protecting my son. But they felt like because they ran the country and they were Skull and Bones that they could lie about my pregnancy, and Jesus Christ was like, hell no. She was innocent. She of my bloodline. I will die about it. You not gonna sit up here and have her whole family and all these black people in this country set her and her little boy up to be raped and murdered and killed, and she is pregnant, and he was abusing her, and then showing that Austin had denounced him and was in this satanic coven, that it was just in everything, all the deep-seated racism of America, to say they was gonna rape my baby and kill me and my baby in that jail. And I told about all the celebrities that was involved, and these is the dates, June 2021, that they had me in Victor Golden's sister house, and they was back there starving me, trying to claim they was gonna help me and give me food when I first got there, and starving me. And I never told Victor that I was pregnant, because by this point people was coming to me like, don't tell him you pregnant and don't say anything, but God would let me know you gonna have to tell him you pregnant. So I did tell them, like, right before I left, because they had me in there smoking, and I told them my family was trying to set me up to be killed, and I didn't even have time to add on videos because they had me in a location where I could not load any of the videos fast enough. It wouldn't load, so I was having to walk away from his property to load all my videos, and I was very angry that they continued to try to kill my baby and me. And then they had me and sex trafficking me, like picking me up in that area, and it was by a school zone, and the police was all involved, and they were trying to set me up like a prostitute in the school zone. And then they staged for the man to intimidate me out of his home and try to fight me up out of his home. So I left, and then I was outside with all of them swarming around, trying to set me up to be murdered outside from his home around this time. And they were trying to starve me and make me look bad. So this was me around the time that I was leaving his home, just showing me leaving his home. You can hear him in the background, and you know the whole story of what was going on. And it was about my case, about my son, and them trying to set me up as the black woman, because God said they were trying to make my baby daddy famous because he got shot, and that Kim Kardashian, all of these people was involved with being racist and trying to lie about the case and kill the pregnant black woman and keep her from her baby, and she was protecting her baby, set her up to be murdered out there on the streets in Houston, Arkansas, and Atlanta, wherever she goes, set her up to be murdered. And God said they was worshiping the beast, that they was worshiping the white folks' image, and said to me, God bless me, setting me up to be murdered and trying to make a white man famous. God said they was worshiping him. And then they still kept on plotting on me. They had MARTA police trying to set me up to be murdered from the transit system. I was charging my phone. They had, I told Cynthia was a grand witch, and they had MARTA police tell me I had to move, that I couldn't charge my phone right there, and then try to set me up to be killed with my phone dead on 1%. And then I told they trying to do a death ritual where they say it's a blood sacrifice to white people, and God was like, y'all going to hell. And then they were like, I don't care. And then so they had the police telling me I could not charge my phone on the transit systems, and as y'all can see, they was kicking me out their home. I didn't have nowhere to charge my phone and keep putting out what they was doing to me. So I had ran from the MARTA police. I left and ran from 5 Points, and I told her she sold her soul to Satan. I told everything. I kept telling what was going on and showing how they was abusing me. I had visions of her being a witch. She told me she was a witch, but she was very crafty, setting the people up to be murdered to cover up her evil. And she said she wanted to kill the baby in the jail, and then she said she wanted the baby. So they were trying to steal it and kill it, and God said the devil kill, steal, and destroy, and they said they was worshiping him. And she threatened to rape my son, talking about, you shot a white man in America, and I'm a witch, and I'm already going to hell, and we'll rape your son. And my sisters was in on the hit when I was in the jail, and they was still in on the hit in Atlanta when I got out. And everybody that's in this coven know that the whites is child molesters, and they all just still worshiping them, talking about, oh, we gonna get money. And they had the black Freemasons trying to set me up to be murdered out of a man named Bernard's home on Oakland and Merrill Drive. And this was when they had, around this time, they had got my YouTube channel shut down. And I told that the black Freemasons said that they was gonna rape my toddler, gang rape my baby when I was in the jail with Cynthia Vera. And Jesus Christ stopped them from murdering me after they had told me this. And he had stopped Austin, told Austin not to kill my little boy. And Austin was in this gang that had denounced God, and they had the man ignoring me and starving me in the motel room while I was trying to put out this evidence. And so when I told that Austin had attacked me like a ritual, they hurried up and shut down my YouTube channel, and I hurried up and started a new one the very next day. And I was showing Keisha Lance Bottoms is over here allowing, because I looked up who the mayor was, and I was like, oh, it's a black woman, and she letting them do this to me in her city. I came down here pregnant to get in the shelter, and they done sex trafficked me and raped me, and I said she letting gang members abuse me all off of the property.